Welcome back, guys. My name is Brandon. Today we've got to go measure up a job. I'm going to bring you along and then we're going to start some welding and fabrication. Stick around. To get you guys up to speed, what we're building is 4 of these shelves for a customer that fits between 2 sets of cabinets. So I built them a mock-up. These measurements that we built this shelf to are just rough measurements. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to go to their house, we're going to make the templates, then we're going to bring it back to the shop, and then we're going to start our fabrication on these. Once we're done, we got to get these out to powder coat. This is what I'm going to be bringing with me. Obviously I got some tools, some pencils, I got a compass, some scissors so I can cut these templates to size if I need to, scribe them into the wall, and a framing square if I need it, and I got a couple pieces of cardboard that we're going to use for our templates. Let's get out of here. We'll probably need this, I don't know. Not a square corner, so we'll make it square. See if this template fits better in this corner now. Perfect. We'll orient our template. So this is going to be the right side. This will be the road. This will be the corner. There and there. Now we'll tuck this in there. Oh yeah. There. Do the same thing over here. I know you guys can't see, but I can't either. I'm just kind of feeling. And that's it, right there. So here's our cabinet. So we need to make it go this way and that way. So it's going to go like that and like that. Like that, and that is waste. Perfect. I have a nice corner, so let's do the other side. Pick up our trash. There. I think that's everything. Let's see how this fits. This one is actually pretty close, but we still got to make some adjustments. All right, my cardboard over here isn't quite big enough, so I'm going to have to add to it from that other piece. Yeah, I'll just cut this piece out, hold it up to the other one, and hopefully that'll be adequate. The template's just not big enough. Alright, we'll put some match marks on this. That way we know our template's going to line up the right way. I really wish I had some tape, but I don't. So we'll just have to do it this way. This will work just fine. Alright. Again, just tracing it along that edge. Yeah, that'll work perfect, guys. That'll be fine. The same thing over here. Trace, 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 trace. There. Do a, just like that. Back to the shop, and we just got to build this stuff. All right, we are back in the workshop. Now we can get our templates finished up. I need to tape this piece onto this. And you can see how we got our match marks on there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just start out with some clear tape so that I know that our match marks are going to be good. And then once I get this right where it needs to be, we're going to line up all these lines. Once I know that that's perfect, then what I'll do is I'll use some heavier tape, like some Gorilla tape. Yeah, that's nice and tight, and that's all lined up. I'll put that right there. Flip it right over. We obviously don't want this template moving around, so we'll get some good tape on there so it doesn't move on us. Get nice and solid. I like to take my tape when I'm all done and then fold it back over on itself, so that way it makes like a little flap. That way it doesn't stick. Now we got ourselves a nice template to go by, guys. I've brightened things up a little bit by just putting black marker. I'm a visual person. I like to see things kind of like drawn out so that I can see it and labeled so that I don't mess it up. So you can see how I put road, and then I know that that's the inside corner. Then I've written cabinet down here, and you can see my cabinet lines along here. So this will eventually get cut out. So we'll end up measuring from here to this cabinet face and draw a line. And then we'll do the same thing from this side back where we've written cabinet back to that line. Take that measurement. And that'll intersect somewhere in here. This is a brand new house, and no matter how new your house is, there is no square inside corner. Very rarely are you ever going to find, even like I said, on a brand new house, a corner that is absolutely 100% perfectly square. It doesn't happen. That's why I scribed these templates into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to build two of them, one for the left, one for the right. And then they want shelves above it that are a third smaller, so a little bit smaller, so it's going to fit inside, so it's not going to be as deep coming out to the front. Once we get all four of those built, I'm going to go there, install them, get all the holes drilled, make sure that they're absolutely perfect and that they fit right. And once we know that they fit and they're absolutely perfect, then we'll bring them over to powder coat. Using a nice sharp razor blade, I cut out my template. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a frame around my template so that it contains this shelf. And then once I'm done, I can pull my template out and then just build inside of this frame. So it'll keep this shelf absolutely perfect. Because this shelf is not square on the back, but it is a 90-degree corner right here. So what we're going to do is just tack these down to the table in a couple places just to contain this, to hold it all in one place. And there it is. Now I just need to build with inside this, and we know that it has to fit perfectly. It has to fit just like that because of our template. This is how out of square that house is. So that's why we made the patterns that we did, so that our shelves will be absolutely perfect. I've been working on my template for about probably 45 minutes just to make sure that I've got everything perfect. And you can see how I kind of got these pieces in here, then building around it. which simulates these areas. Then I've got my diagonal corner in. That's where everything's going to match into it and change direction. And I've got a spacer, as you can see down in there. That's going to give me a consistent overhang for these shelves. You see that little overhang on the end right there? That's that face right here is the face right here. All right, I think the point that we're at now is we need to start cutting these slats and getting them in place and get it all filled in on the top here. The hardest part of this project is really done, guys. It's making sure that your template is right. That's the hardest part. Once your template's in, you can't really mess it up because you're building inside of this constricted design. This template is constricting you so that you can't make it any bigger. It's kind of impossible to mess it up. So that's what's nice about using templates. I'll show you how I'm doing this. There's probably 101 different ways to do it. So like I said, this is my spacer. I'm using 1-inch slats. And what I'm going to do is my tape measure is also 1 inch wide. So if I hold my tape measure against my spacer, and then I look down here and intersect this, I can say roughly that my measurement is going to be about 21 1/4. So that's what I'm going to go do over at my saw, is put a 45-degree angle at 21 1/4. And if it ends up being a little too long, I'll cut it off the other side and it'll just be a straight cut. I absolutely love this saw, guys, because it is awesome for doing these types of cuts. Look at that, there's a nice perfect 45-degree, no heat in it, nothing. So if you look over here, I'm just a little bit long. When I pull that back to right about where it wants to be, it looks to be about a blade width off on this side, so that's what we're going to do. This saw isn't cheap, guys, but this is probably the last saw that you will buy. This thing is incredible. I love this saw. Use it all the time. I love the fact that it does 45s, and as far as I know, these guys are the only one in the game right now that have a saw that'll cut on a 45-degree angle like this. And this cuts metal just as good as your chop saw cuts wood. Quite impressive. And it's really tight fit up under here. I literally can't even see to weld it, so I'm just kind of tucking it up under there and we'll get it better once we flip it. And that allows me to move on to the next. I also like to cut my wire back every time, guys, so you get a nice crisp start. See that little BB on the end of that? That will affect how your wire starts. So trim that back, you'll get good starts every time. Then we just keep doing this all the way down the line. Looks like my next one's going to be 22, and I'll go get all of these cut right now. Another thing I'm having to do, guys, is straighten these out. If you sight down the back spine of that, you'll see how it's got a bend to it, and I don't want that to be welded into this shelf. So to straighten these out, what I'm doing is I'm just sticking them in my vise a little bit, then I sight down it. There. That's much better. What causes that is when they unloaded the truck, they used a forklift, and they just picked it in the middle, and then these ended up just bowing on the sides. So that's what caused these to bend like this. So it's causing me to do a little more work with them, but as long as you know it's there now, you can catch it and you can fix it before you weld it up. So I've got this side kind of somewhat tacked here and there, best I could, trying to get the MIG nozzle underneath this. This last one, I can't get on there, so what I want to do is we'll pop this out of the template right now, or pop this out of the jig, I should say, flip it around and get some decent welds on the back side, finish welding that out, so this whole side will be done, then it'll be nice and secure so we can weld in these. Now that we have this side all done, this will be super easy because all we're doing now is hooking the tape onto this and then measuring back to here. And that'll give us the long point measurement of that 45. So you got the short point being here, and then the long point being here. So we'll hook the tape here, measure back, and that'll give us our length. Now that this is all welded out, and that's as good as we need them to be right there, what we'll do now is we'll get this back in the jig, and then we'll get this side done. This should go pretty quick now. Now remember I was telling you this side's going to be super easy? Watch how easy this is. So I know that this one is going to be 11 3/8. The next one, I'll just make my cut list, is going to be 12 7/8. One after that, 14 3/8. One after that, 15 7/8. So that'll give me a few cuts to make right now. So now with these tacked all along here, what I'm going to do is just get a little small tack right over in here on the back side. You won't see it. This is the side you will see. So I'm going to get a little small tack there just so it holds this squareness of this frame right here. Then we'll flip it over and we'll do the same thing we did all on the undersides. Get some good welds there and start building our second one, which is only going to go probably from like here out. So these 3 slats, or maybe 4 slats I'd say, will probably be missing. We'll probably go 3 slats away and then have the shelf this much. They wanted it 2/3 the depth for the upper shelf. So the bottom shelf will be full depth, the upper shelf will be a little less deep, so that'll be kind of like this here. That's one shelf done. And we just obviously got to clean everything up and smooth it and make it look good. And there it is, guys. Now we just got to clean everything down, deburr everything. Make sure that everything is absolutely perfect. Go over these with a flap disc so that these blend in better. So yeah. Then we just can take our template, or our pattern I should say, and see that? Fits right down in there perfectly. Now we know that that shelf is going to fit like a glove. The next shelf is going to be 1/3 smaller. So roughly, this is 12 inches deep, so roughly 1/3 of that, or 2/3 of the depth, would be 9 inches, or take 3 inches off it. So what I've done is this part and this part here, we want to keep that a 90 degree to the cabinets, because we have a cabinet here and a cabinet here. So I just built another piece to add to my jig that just sets on the table, and it bumps into what we have there. And then this bumps into what we have there. And that just shortens up the interior of this by 3 inches. So now we just infill all of this. Then we'll do our, same corner piece that we did, and then we'll tie in all our slats, and that'll make our other shelf that's 1/3 smaller. As you can see, guys, the big advantage to what I'm doing here, or in this video, is I'm showing you how to make patterns so that you can get precise measurements every single time, and I can reuse these pieces. So when we go to do the left side, I'll probably break all these off. That's why I've only tacked them on one side, because I can just take a pair of pliers and just bend those over, and these will snap right off, and we can reconfigure this and use all of these pieces, including these, to make it smaller for the left side. And now with my second shelf done, I can remove my jig, reconfigure it for the left side, and do the same thing that I did. Just a duplication of what I did here. You can see how nicely that worked. I can reuse these for the other side, which makes it 3 inches smaller. You can see how everything just kind of fits together in there. Now I do want to kind of bring you in and show you some of the things that I had to, like, let's say, cheat on. So like here, this is pretty much gapped 1 inch all the way across. But as you can see here, I don't know if you can see it, it's a little tighter here and it opens up a little bit more here. So what I've had to do is to kind of just blend it, because remember, like I said, this corner is way out of square right here for the building, but you want everything to kind of look consistent. So what I've had to do is just kind of like move these around a little bit and just kind of like eyeball them so that visually they look pleasing, because you wouldn't want this to go from like, you know, 1 inch here to 1.5 inches down here. That would look a little ridiculous. So you kind of want to just try to blend all that together, make it look good. All right, I took my other jig, cut it all apart, reconfigured it. You can see how it's got some gaps in here and there because it's a little bit bigger, this jig. But yeah, it's all geared up for the left side shelf. You can see how everything just nicely tucks down in there. Reused all my stuff. Had to add a little piece here because it's a little bit bigger, but you can see how this kind of like constricts this design so that it's all built within the jig. Hopefully, if all of this goes well, guys, I'll get these over to these people's house. We'll get them installed. Maybe I can bring you along with me when we do that. Then we'll get them over to powder coat. Maybe we can make a video over there, and then I'll get another video of me installing these so you guys can see what the finished project looks like. There's a lot of work involved in doing stuff like this. It's not just the building. It's a lot of, you know, logistics to it, of making sure it's done in the right steps like I mentioned earlier. So be sure to tune in. New videos every Friday. If this is something that you like, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Jigs are your friend, and so are templates. Until next week, guys, I will see you then. Take care, stay safe, and God bless.